This is Jeff Kummer with Mineral Tracker.
Mineral Tracker, boy, that name certainly caught my interest. I'm a big fan of mineral rights, and I even follow a little mineral rights law from time to time. So, talk to me about this mineral tracker that you have going on.
Sure. Yeah, we're excited to have released this new technology that is helping mineral owners to manage their mineral rights, manage their royalty income that they're receiving every month. The idea really started several years ago, being from Watford City, lots of friends and family that are blessed to have mineral rights and be receiving checks in the mail. And naturally, everyone has, their people that they go to ask questions, whether it be other family members that are close to the industry or at least indirectly in the oil and gas industry. And I happen to be one of those people for my family. And over time, I had the idea that, is there a way that we could make this easier for people? There's thousands and thousands of folks that are receiving this royalty income every month. And, people audit that income one of a couple of different ways. Probably the most common is, did the check come this month like it did last month? And if the answer is yes, that's kind of the end of the audit process. Some that are more sophisticated will go out to the North Dakota Department of Mineral Resources website, and they'll check production reported to the state by the individual companies, compare that to the production they were paid on for their individual wells. And so we developed Mineral Tracker to make that process more efficient, where we're pulling together a large data set and giving someone the opportunity to log into an account that's unique to their wells and interests and do that auditing on a monthly basis. Plus, we have built decline curves for all of the wells in the basin. So not only are we predicting what they should have been paid this past month and months historically, we're also predicting what they should be paid in future months, which is extremely unique.
So this is kind of a management software. Am I kind of following you right?
Right. So you can think about it like somewhat like an online bank account or an online retirement account, so that when you log in, you're seeing information that's unique to your asset. So it's unique to the wells that you're receiving payments on, because it's oil produced on lands that you own mineral rights under. And so once we have your wells and your interest loaded into Mineral Tracker, you can see a wide variety of information, graphs and charts and tables about your asset that really pulls all the information together and takes it from stacks and stacks of paperwork into a visual tool to better understand your asset.
So is this mostly for people then with mineral rights, or are there other people that can benefit from this, either from the information, or just talk to me a little bit about your customer, I guess?
Yeah, so the customer is anyone that is receiving a monthly checks from oil and gas companies due to royalties. So this could be, most commonly it's the mineral rights owner. So it's the families and the individuals that own the mineral rights that have leased those mineral rights, and now there's wells producing, so they receive royalties every month off those wells. That's by and large the biggest client. It's also for non-operated working interest players in the basin. So these aren't the banner oil and gas companies that are own and operate the wells. These are all the other individual partners in those wells. We've also seen this be very useful for trust companies, accountants, any of those other types of professional services where they're aiding in some form or fashion folks that are being paid monthly royalties. So at the end of the day, the software is geared towards anyone receiving monthly income via royalties, or anyone that's helping support someone that's doing the same.
So what's kind of the hook, I guess, from your from the mineral rights perspective, in terms of the guy getting a check in the mail and then let's say he goes and partners up or gets your services. What changes? What can they expect that's going to be different than just the check in the mail?
Well, number one, you're receiving these royalties, and lots of people, it's a meaningful part of their life. It's important to them. It's important to their retirement or to the future for their kids or whatever it might be. So having a tool that predicts what they should have been paid, they are moving well beyond, did I get a check in the mail or not? They're able to compare what they were paid with what we've predicted they should have been paid. So they're able to self-audit their monthly payment. So that's a huge step in the right direction as far as a better understanding of the asset. The second is that we are predicting what they will be paid in the future, and there's no other good place to go to get that kind of information because it's produced by reservoir engineers. And so having the ability to look ahead 1 month, 1 year, 10 years on a scenario based on today's oil prices and the wells that are producing now on their acreage, what does my future revenue look like? It's extremely valuable, obviously, to understand future cash flow of your asset. Other things that are built into Mineral Tracker that people find very handy is we map their asset. So we map each one of their wells individually with the horizontal legs, and they can start seeing visually how many more wells might get drilled on their acreage based on how many are drilled in drill spacing units around them. And lastly, we allow them to store important documents safely and securely inside of their portal, make notes inside of their portal, and then we also allow them to what we call ask an expert and have a place to shoot questions across inside of their portal that comes direct to myself and Joel Brown, who are both petroleum engineers with lots of industry experience. So by logging in, setting up your account, you now have a tool in your toolbox that goes well beyond collecting that check monthly and maybe scribbling some notes in a notepad. You now have an online tool that's backed up with all of your information there, readily available for not just you, but potentially for your kids or your grandkids or your accountant or whoever else you want to be able to have access to this information.
And I'm not sure if you mentioned this earlier, but how long you guys been doing this?
Well, we started developing the software in the fall of last year, fall/winter, and we went live with Mineral Tracker on September 1st. So it's pretty new.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, September 1st of 2018?
Right.
Oh, so we're talking, barely a month old.
Yeah, a month old.
Oh, great.
We opened it up and it was available back in July, and we signed up people that, trusted us, and we trusted them to work out some of the kinks. And then once we got through that, we went live to the world on September 1st, so about a month ago.
How are the, I call them, friends and family accounts, the ones that kind of become your little sandbox, and yeah, they might get a little deal out of it, but at the same time, you get something out of it too. How are they responding to this now that they've had, a month and a half to kind of go through the software and take a look at this mineral management software that you guys have developed? How are those friends and family accounts responding?
They've absolutely become our best advocates. This is really a word of mouth thing. And so they've been helping us to encourage others to try it out and expand it beyond our friends and family network. And so that's happening. So they've been happy. I think, even for me, having the idea and then seeing it to fruition and actually seeing it on a computer screen, it's kind of one of those things where you sit back and ask yourself, once you see the tool and you see its value, you sit and ask yourself, why hasn't this been done before? It's obvious that pulling this information together, unique to the tens of thousands of people that benefit from this royalty income for less than what they pay for their cell phone bill every month. It's just, I'm glad that it's out there and it's available.
I would imagine that some of the information would be pretty complex and pretty overwhelming at times. I mean, that's one of the simplification things I assume that the mineral tracker does. Are you guys just primarily in the Bakken, or are you guys just, is there no kind of limits to, the geography of this?
So with the 1.0 release, I guess, we are only have North Dakota wells loaded. So it's specific to North Dakota. In future releases, we do plan to expand to other states. It'll really be a state-by-state expansion. The first one that we'll knock out will be Montana, just because, regionally that's going to affect more people around us here. But there's really no limit. As long as we have access to well data and are able to, provide service to people outside of this area, we see this going to any oil and gas play in the U.S.
Well, I think this is a great little story here because you and your wife are from Watford City, born and raised, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, talk to me a little bit about that. I mean, we hear all about this innovation and we hear all these things about, these big companies coming in and rewriting software and doing all this stuff for big companies. Well, here you are, your wife, and a third partner, I heard, petroleum engineer guy, and you guys have kind of come up with something that seems to, have some good momentum going. And, I'm not calling it the Uber of mineral tracker, but it seems that you guys have at least a good start on something that really isn't, not a lot of competition out there. So talk to me a little bit about your upbringing in Watford City and kind of what's happened and how that has helped shape this company.
Sure. Yeah, like I said, my wife and I both grew up here in Watford City, multiple generations in this community. I'm the fourth generation that's been in the oil and gas industry, so it's been a part of my life, my whole life. And went off to school, then got a degree in petroleum engineering, thought I would never return to North Dakota because that was the early 2000s and there wasn't much going on up here, so I thought the closest I'd ever get to home was Denver. And just so happens that, the Bakken happened, and being from Watford City with a degree in petroleum engineering worked out really well, so far anyways. So I think that, what we've experienced in Watford City over the past 10 years is pretty hard to even wrap your head around, especially just, being in it and living it day to day. But it's remarkable is an understatement to what's happened out in this area. And technology, I've learned a lot about this. I never thought that I would be, in this tech sphere, but taking a process in auditing, your monthly royalties and bringing technology into it and turning it into an app, it can be done, and it has been done now. And like I said, it's just one of those things where you kind of sit back and think, why hasn't somebody else thought of this? And there's a couple of things that are unique to Mineral Tracker. Probably the most important is that Joel Brown and myself both have extensive background in the oil and gas industry, in reservoir engineering and operations. And so having that background and we're also mineral owners, so having that background to build a product, is fairly unique and would have been a pretty high hurdle for somebody trying to come into this space from the tech background versus an industry background.
Well, I think you kind of answered part of your question there about why hasn't anybody done this. It probably took a couple planets to align, you mentioned the petroleum engineer coming out of the industry, that sort of thing, as opposed to somebody in Silicon Valley just trying to figure out, a system that works. But I think probably the most important thing, and I'm not discounting the industry experience, is the fact that you guys are mineral right owners and being able to have that knowledge. I would think that anybody who is not a mineral rights owner couldn't do this at all.
Yeah, I think that you're right there. We understand the challenges and things, that go along with royalties. It turns into a part borderline full-time job for folks, depending on the size of their asset. You go around and you ask people that, are being paid by these, and they're spending a lot of time managing their mineral assets. And when we get them in and we show them a demo of the product, we get them signed up, we get them using it, they become, just as important as the original idea for where we're going to take this thing, because they see things, well, it'd be cool if it did this, it'd be cool if it did that. Well, that's all, great feedback. And so not only was it built by us, mineral owners and petroleum engineers, but it's evolving based on the input of mineral owners, which I think is the only way to go. So we're excited to see, what the next month and the next year, what this turns into.
Jeff Kummer with Mineral Tracker, mineraltracker.com is the website. Just kind of winding down here with the interview. He and his wife are Watford City natives and born and raised there, and so thought I'd ask another question about Watford City. Main Street USA, there's been a big push towards Main Street USA. How are the businesses looking in Watford City? Are you seeing any new businesses that are, sticking around a little bit and really adding to the community? I know that quality of life was such a big push over the last 5 years, whether it be a pizza place or a daycare or a haircut place, just things that are going to make it so you don't have to drive to Dickinson or Bismarck to get some things done. How, Watford City's doubled in size almost population-wise, so how are you guys doing with the quality of life things? Are you getting some new businesses in there?
I would say that when you look back 5 years ago to where we are today, quality of life in Watford City has gotten better 1,000%. Main Street is alive. The families that are moving into the area are changing the dynamics of the community, but mostly for the better. It's really exciting to see, because of solid leadership, what this community's been able to do with the fortune of being in the middle of this unconventional oil play. If you haven't been to Watford City for a while, I'd encourage anybody to come out here. It feels like we're just getting started, to be honest. Businesses popping up. Population continues to grow. School enrollment was up 20% this year. It's really a remarkable story. To contrast that with 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, my wife and I actually were looking to move away from here. Our first child was starting school, and we saw all the challenges. The kids were in skid shacks outside of the schools. It was a really challenging time, 2012 through 14. But I'm really glad we stuck it out, because, like I said, the change in Watford City has been to the positive 1,000%, and it looks to be only going to get better. So we're encouraged to continue to raise our family here, and would encourage anybody else to come out and see what's going on out here. It's truly remarkable.
Well, I like to give guests the final word, so it's not a question framed by me, but if you want to reiterate something, or if you've something that we forgot to mention, or if you want to give your best sales pitch for mineraltracker.com, I'll just kind of give you the floor, okay?
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for having me and asking the question. We're trying to get out there and tell this story to as many people as possible. We're definitely here to help people through the process of signing up through Mineral Tracker. We've had plenty of people just come into our office here in Watford City, call us up on the phone number that's on our website at mineraltracker.com. We really just want to get this in the hands of the folks that are receiving monthly royalties, because we believe that if they get in and they see what the tool is capable of, they will become believers and they will become users. So just encourage anybody to give it a try. It's free for 30 days. There's no obligation. It's super easy to sign up. All you need is a check stub in front of you with your wells and interest. So give it a try. Call us, email us. We're here to help.